what we're looking at here is the dashboard, an ARR dashboard that's very simply showing the annual recurring revenue broken down by new customer in blue and existing customer. So let's talk a little bit about how we get this information in the system. I'm going to navigate to an order. And here you can see all the orders that have ARR information. So my organization here has a bunch of customers and a bunch of orders. So I'm going to pick on, let's say, this Agilent cybersecurity order. You can see that this order is $120,000 of ARR, and it's made up of a specific product here, in this case a cyber risk 1-year subscription. If I look into that order line, you can see that the order line has a start and an end date, so this is a 1-year subscription. The pricing details, so I have a monthly price, a quantity. I've got a history of transactions. Why history is important, I'll talk to you a little bit later around co-terming. So as the customer would, let's say, buy another 100 units mid-year, we can show that history and what price that order was made with. And we also track all the deferred revenue entries. So here we have all the revenue entries, prorated in the first month, and then basically you've got this whole concept of, in this case, a $10,000 a month transaction, and the difference would be prorated in the last month as well. So we're automatically able to calculate all the revenue entries for all the orders, which is how we got to that original dashboard. And you'll remember this is my ARR, so this is what's calculating the actual dashboard here. So all the revenue lines that I just showed you from the order get generated. Because we know if it's a new customer versus existing customer versus a renewal order, we can actually separate all the different types of ARR. And why that's relevant is if I go to my dashboards in Power BI, you can see here that I've got my total ARR, my monthly growth, yearly growth, but I'm actually able to break all of my monthly revenue down by buckets in terms of by type. And you can relabel these as new logo versus net new, or back to base could be existing customer, upsell, cross-sell, etc. We can get down to a very granular level in terms of how you want to classify all this information. We can also track churn. So how we track churn is if you do track renewal opportunities, which is a best practice, we can track win-loss on renewal, and you can calculate your net retention, or we can display it in this case as a negative net churn. So whatever, it's actually a very similar calculation, just the inverse. We can display whichever the organization prefers. When you are also able to track the renewal opportunities, you can get a sense of when the renewals are coming up, and if the renewals that are coming up have a customer health score that is strong, weak, or neutral. So for example, we have a really big renewal coming up in May of $827,000, and we've got weak customer health here. So we probably want to hunt down what's going on with these renewals. And we can also track, in this case doesn't show very much, but in this case all of our customers are live. But if a customer is not live yet, you can track any ARR that's not yet live and track the ARR by product. So this is some of the capabilities of the subscription tracking. Let's talk a little bit about how that all gets configured. We start with a unit concept. So here I have a 1-year subscription. Okay, and a year is based on a time interval of a year, and so if I, for example, wanted to set up a 2-year subscription, again, it's a 2-year and quantity 2 of a year. If you wanted to do 1 month, you want to do subscriptions displayed as MRR as 12 times 1 month. You want to do a 5-month, a 6-month. You can set up as many terms as you want. You can do multi-year. It's infinite how many units you set up in the for your sellers to sell. And then you align those units to products. So if I take my cyber risk user here. So cyber risk is a product I sell, and I have a cyber risk 1-year subscription available for the sellers. If I wanted to add another subscription, I can pick my price list. So I'm going to pick, let's say, the US dollar or US pricing, and I want to do a 2-year subscription of cyber and set it up as a subscription. and my unit price will be X. Let's say it's $200 a unit. Now this product, when the seller is on an account that is based on the US price list, so you can do a price list by country and currency. You can have many price lists, like you can have institutional price list versus commercial price list. You can have as many price lists as you want. You just set your price, and I set this up as a subscription product. And now you allow your sellers to determine when the subscription starts on order generated, on opportunity close date, or a specified date. And I'm going to do it on order generated date. And we're going to process the renewal 60 days in advance. And the renewal type is going to be an opportunity versus a sales order, which is automatic. And my invoice starting is going to be on close date. And the invoice schedule, you can just let the seller choose between quarterly, in advance, annually, and quarterly. Monthly and quarterly. And the default will be annually. So what that is on let's say a 2-year deal, if you say in advance, you're going to collect all 2 years of the subscription in advance. If it's on annual, we're just going to invoice the first year of the subscription. If it's monthly, we're going to take that first year subscription and make it a monthly invoice, or quarterly, make it 3 months worth in advance. And then you have a revenue recognition percentage spread. So by default, we just spread it equally, but in some organizations, they're able to actually recognize more revenue up front. There's very specific situations where that is possible, specifically in some of the Microsoft ecosystem partners that we work with, and you could determine how much of that revenue recognition is recognized up front. But here I'm just going to allow for an equal spread. So I've just created a new product for the sellers. And now let's go into the selling mode. And I'm going to flip over to my sellers and show you an opportunity. All right, so I can open an existing opportunity. You can see this opportunity is in US dollar, US pricing. I'm going to add the price, the product I just picked. Here's my cyber risk 2-year subscription. I'm going to do 200 of those. Okay, so this is an $8. So the 200 was for the 2 years, so it's $8 a month. You could have set that up with monthly pricing as well. And we're going to do this on order generated. All right, so the total amount of this transaction right now is $20,000 ARR, but because it's 2 years, it's a $40,000 order. But you'll note that we track and separate the total amount of the opportunity from the ARR and any, of course, one-time fees that are not related to subscription at all. Now, when I win this, now a read-only opportunity, I'm going to generate an order. Okay, you can see the order is generated and identifies the product that was sold. And if I go back to this account, what we're going to see is the generated invoice, because we did it 1 year in advance, and the subscription that was generated on that account as well, including the renewal date, which is 2024. And there you go, a quick summary of how subscription management works in TekStack.